Hi everyone, it's been a while, but here I am with a new little animation. I made this short as a study. I'm not a big fan of anime, but anime-style animation is so strong, with incredible choreographies, weird and unusual timing and spacing, and crazy camera angles. In this video, I will share some tips to try to get this anime style in your animation following a simple exercise. But first, let's have a quick overview of the creative process. Oh, did I tell you that you can now access my tutorial files for free? Going on P2designacademy.com, you will get access to the file of some of my tutorials, including the scene of this animation. I will add some of the former tutorials assets along the way. You can get free access to all those assets or choose to pay a little contribution to support me and the channel. Either way, you'll have a lifetime access to those assets. And since I'm there, I take the opportunity to let you know that Nicholas is currently working on new tutorials for the Unreal Engine 5, creating real-time VFX that will be soon released on the channel. Alright, with all of that being said, let's dive into the tutorial. Let's first quickly go through the overall creation process for this animation. It took me 23 hours to get it done from scratch. I knew I wanted to do this kind of animation, and at some point probably during the night I kind of had the vision. And this is when the old me just sent myself an email with some notes, mixing rough English and French that describes the different shots basically. And for your information, that's how I deal with my to-dos. I just send myself emails so that I don't forget. The first thing I did was to kind of thumbnail my animation. I imported the Crimson Ronin rig that you can have for free on P2designacademy.com and added the dolly camera rig that is available when you enable the add-on in Blender. From there, I kind of storyboard my animation directly in Blender. If you have any drawing skill, it's gonna be faster to draw some rough thumbnails of your animation. But in my case, it's a little faster to do it in Blender. So every 2 frames I'm blocking a pose for my character and blocking a pose for the camera, or blocking a camera angle if you will. And after 3 hours I ended up with this. It's great, right? It's a little fast because it's a playblast, and as I told you, I just thumbnailed or key my animation or animation preview every 1 or 2 frames. But if I go slowly through each step or each shot, you can more clearly or hopefully clearly understand the flow of the animation. And again, the old me drops some notes directly into a text file in Blender whenever I have ideas on edits I should do for the animation. I just mark down the frame number and what I should do. And this is the moment where I try to address 2 important points regarding anime style animation and animation in general: the camera work and the choreography. So often they use like super close camera angle with a very short focal length. On this shot you can see how the camera is close to the foot of the character, and I'm using a focal length of only 15mm, which is pretty small. The camera positioning becomes pretty sensitive, but you get those great distortion and perspective. And on some other shots, I used a very high focal length, so I had a lot of contrast in my camera angles. And to me, contrast is one of the keys of anime style. So the camera is a part of the choreography, that's very important. And the second point is your posing. I'll let you judge whether my posing is good or not, but What you need to know is that you need to have strong posing. This is one of the topic and one of the chapter of my animation course live that you can find on P2designacademy.com. Strong line of action, a clear silhouette, complexity versus simplicity, balance and negative space. Yep, and a bit of everything at once. Once you've figured your poses and your camera angle, here are some shooting rules you should apply. First shot should be an establishing shot. In this case, we're in the desert and we can see our character and the pile of stone he's using for his training. So now I can hear you saying, oh, I didn't see that. And yes, I agree with that. I wasn't super good at showing the character and the stones. That's why on the title shot, I cheated a bit with the composition to make them like pop out a bit. But what I mean there is that an establishing shot is a classic. Let's say you're shooting a sequence in an office. Maybe the first establishing shot will be a view of the building. This way we know that the scene takes place in that building. We know if it's at night or during the day. You know about the weather. You know about a lot of things. It also helps the staging. And staging is what you do to make the people understand what's going to happen. For example, here I have the pile of stone on the foreground and I'm trying to express the fact that something is going to happen between those stones and the character. The last tip I want to share with you today is continuity. And I want to thank Arthur Munoz for that because I was sending him my work along the way and it gave me a lot of feedback that helped me keeping this continuity in the shots. Here I'm using the dust effect to connect those two shots. After the cut of the first shot, I rewind a couple of frames the character animation and the effect. It gives the viewer the time to digest what's happening. Next, the character's going up into anticipation, then down, and as he goes down on the next shot, he's still going down. Now he's about to grab the sword, I cut, and I grab the sword. And if we watch the animation from another angle than the camera angle, you can see it's a bit weird, but on the editing, it does work. Because I created this continuity between the shots, what we're currently seeing in camera. And during the whole animation, all the motion is left to right. Foot pushes and exits the screen to the right. Then the characters enter the scene by the left and goes to the right. The background, the speed lines, everything helps. Here I'm contacting the ground. When I switch angle, I'm contacting the ground too. Now you have the general idea of that. Now what makes an animation looks like an anime style animation? The graphic design is surely important. Shout out to Pierre Schiller and his YouTube channel Active Motion Picture. If you're looking for anime style characters, he's the guy. And well, I guess most of you already knows Dylan Gu and his team doing like crazy anime style stuff with Blender. Yeah, this is so good, really, really good. Now to me, what really brings the anime style into the animation is the timing and the frame rate. You probably saw animes like Berserk, for example, where everything is done with CG and everything is moving and interpolating every frames. While when animes are hand-drawn, they often use 8 frames per second, maybe 12 frames per second, holding a drawing for 1, 2 or 3 frames. This is what we call animating on 1s, on 2s or on 3s. And this is what makes the animation a little less smoother. But your brain is making the transition, and to me, it feels really good. And this is one of the reasons why the Dragon Ball FighterZ animation are so good, because in a 3D game, they brought this kind of animation where poses are held, and it's like we are missing some frames in between the different poses. And this is what I try to achieve. I sometimes have poses every frame, but most of the time it's on 2s or on 3s. And the same principle applies to all my effects. Sometimes they are drawn on 2s, on 3s, sometimes even more. And sometimes on 1s, it depends. But I'll cover all the effect part in another video. One of the most specific things to anime, at least in my opinion, beyond everything we covered before, is the timing. I don't want to pretend that I know what defines the Western style animation, but generally the timing is a little different. While modern animation tend to mix a bit of Western style and anime style, there is still this difference. In animation, we generally pause on the anticipation and then on the settle or the overshoot of the animation. But in anime, they often slow down the animation at an unexpected moment. Here we have a super fast jumping kick and they just slow it down. This really improves the readability of the key moment. It's not about getting a physically accurate animation, it's about making the most epic moments to stand out. Another method that is often used, and I think I heard this expression before, is somehow air resistance. Levi is about to throw a sword here, and instead of holding the animation during the anticipation, they hold it during the beginning of the throw. Instead of a full acceleration, Levi's arm is slowing down and then it snaps into the final position. And there's no in between, we just have the effects of the sword. That's it. And we have that again here. Time seems to freeze or the air seems thicker. And again here is about to jump, he starts to jump, it slows down, and then it goes super fast. So you often have those held moments and then those frantic animations. And hopefully you can spot them in my animation too. Here we have a quick hold when the character is going down before grabbing his sword. As he starts pushing forward, he's slowing down as if he was moving in water. Then we have a slow push on the foot. It snaps into the airborne position and slows down again. Then I hold this flying pose, it jumps, and I get into this frantic run animation. During the sword slash, I go fast, slow, and fast. And then there is a little pause before the big rock shatters. Hopefully it makes sense, so let's jump into a small exercise. If you're enjoying my content, please consider subscribing, giving a like, and a nice comment. So just open a fresh Blender scene, get rid of everything, and add a UV sphere. Enter edit mode, and move it along the Z-axis by 1 unit. The idea is to set the origin of the sphere on its bottom, or on its base. It will act as the feet of the ball. If you have the live course, you can use the ball rig provided. I will provide it for free on my website as soon as possible. But I want to show you that you can do this exercise with a simple sphere. Add a keyframe on every transform channels. Now let's enable the auto recording, open the dope sheet and switch to action editor mode. From there we will create our first poses. The idea is to make an anime bouncing ball. So on frame 0 I have my default pose, my starting pose. Now let's build the anticipation. So the ball is about to jump, it's gathering energy. So I will scale it on Z and then make it a little bigger on X and Y. Next key pose, the poses that really explain what is about to happen, is the jumping pose, the moment the ball is pushing. I will create this new pose 5 frames later. For the time being, I will just create a pose every 5 frames. We don't care about the timing. I will switch to local space for my manipulators so that we can easily squash and stretch the ball by scaling it along its Z-axis. So just elongate the ball along its Z-axis and then reduce its size on X and Y to preserve its volume. Also, we don't want interpolation between our keys so that it won't look CG. So select all the keys, press T and switch to constant. From there we will create a pose where the ball is about to slow down and reach the up pose, and then the movement downward. You can now move the ball along its local Z-axis by pressing G and Z. You push it into the air, then you push it a little further, offset it a bit on the right, squash it a little bit as it's slowing down in the air. And then just rotate it toward the ground and do the inverted motion in a way. So again, I just rotate the ball, I move it along its local Z-axis, so that's super handy. And then I will just create a couple of bounces where each time the ball will bounce a little less. We have energy absorption. If you're feeling lazy creating those key poses, don't worry, you can download the Blender file and you will find an action of the ball at this stage and then the final stage. From there I will accelerate a bit the video. Don't worry, you can slow it down on YouTube, it's accelerated 3 times only. And what I'm going to do is not super complicated, it's mostly about feelings. And Again, you'll be able to download the file for free on P2designacademy.com. So on the first anticipation, I will squash the ball a little more. So I will add another keyframe where I will squash it more. And then when it starts to jump, I want to create this slow motion effect we talked about before. So I will create a couple of new keys where the ball starts to jump and start to stretch, but it's not leaving the ground that much. So you start with an anticipation with kind of a normal timing, as if it was a human being preparing to jump. And then as it jumps, as it is supposed to accelerate a lot, we slow down the motion by adding a lot of keys. And then in between the start of the jump and the airborne pose, I will add a super stretched pose. This will help the viewer to connect between the down pose and the up pose. I used this tip a couple of times on this animation, and you can see it on the downloadable animation blueprint we have here. So you can see that I'm going a lot back and forth into my animation. We set the first key poses. Now it's your job to find the in-betweens. May I stretch the ball a lot? May I stretch it a little less? And then find the right timing. So let's have a quick look to the final result. So first I hold the anticipation until frame 5 and made an extreme. Then I transition into the pushing pose and I hold it, so I create this slow motion effect. From there, in a blink of an eye, on only one frame, I switch to the air pose with this smear effect. Then I decided to hold the animation for a little while in the air. And when I start moving down to the ground, I accelerate a lot, but I hold the smear. So physically it doesn't make sense, but it feels good. I'm holding this smear for 3 frames. And since the impact on the ground is pretty strong, I will hold the squashed, the extreme pose for a while too. And then I will transition into let's say more normal timing for my animation. A bit like the run, I have very contrasted timing in the beginning, holding extreme poses, holding smears, and then I transition in a faster motion. So try this exercise and post your result on social media using the hashtag P2design or simply tagging me. This is the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you very soon with more content around this short. See you!